Yeah, it'll be a big, huge sigh of relief for a lot of households here in Belgium. In the last few hours, the federal government has agreed measures to help them get through the cost of living crisis and soaring energy bills. Direct financial support from the federal government. They will help people pay their bills directly in November, in December. So that's €135 will be given to Belgian citizens to help with their gas bill, and €61 to help towards their electricity bill. Now, that's significantly more than what we heard those numbers might be earlier in the week, closer to €50 and €10. It's a much higher level of support by the federal government. It's also a little bit different to what we thought. It's going to be targeted. So the measure will be targeted to those who need it most, and we're expecting that the wealthiest 20% here in Belgium will be expected to pay that back through their taxation. The country's economy minister saying this morning it would be incomprehensible for wealthy Belgians like ministers and a lot of people who work in that building and the European Commission behind me, to get assistance for energy bills that they don't particularly need, energy bills that they can afford. So at the very least, this measure will give households a lot of support. Some people also excluded. People on fixed rate energy contracts will not be getting this assistance, and people who are already receiving social support and social rates for their energy bills will also be excluded. But definitely a big direct support from the Belgian government to its citizens to get through the energy crisis.
And are these actions linked to recent EU announcements about the energy crisis?
Yes, in a word. €1.5 billion the cost of these measures. So there's the direct financial support, as I said, but also a furlough scheme. So energy-hungry companies that want to save energy can stop production, and the government will pay for 70% of their workers' wages. So a very similar scheme to what we saw. Now, these are quite expensive measures, as you'd imagine. €1.5 billion is a big chunk of cash for the Belgian government to find, and that will be funded through the European Union's solidarity contribution, as they call it. You and I would probably call it a windfall tax on the profits of fossil fuel providers. That, to remind you, 33% tax will be rolled out across the European Union on excess profits, so profits made in the fiscal year of 2022. Now, that money will be directed straight to member states in the hope that they use that cash to then support people get through the cost of living crisis. So this is exactly what's happening here. The Belgian government using that money to directly support Belgian citizens. But there's also the aspect of energy saving. European member states will be expected to have a 5% reduction in their energy usage at peak times, and so they're going to have to find ways to reduce that energy consumption as well. One example, for example, Belgium's motorway system, well known to be lit up at night in its entirety, will be switched off. It used to be visible from space. It won't be now because we're trying to save energy here in Belgium. So that's one example of how energy saving measures will come through. But definitely that European Union support and structure being used to support Belgium's government in supporting Belgian citizens. So a huge sigh of relief for a lot of people here in Brussels.